Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Josh Does Coding. In today's video, we are going to be continuing on with our wave-based survival series, and we are going to be setting up the logic to buy upgrades for our player. Let's hop straight on into it. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by opening our main menu UI, and we're going to come over to our widget switcher, and we are going to set the active widget to 1. So that we can see our actual upgrade page, which is currently just the text displaying how many points we have and the back button. So today we're going to set up some basic upgrades like increasing the player health and maybe even adding some health regeneration. And then in future videos, we'll look at buying better weapons and whatnot. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get let's do a grid panel. Actually, let's do uniform grid panel. This will be right up here at the top. So you'll want to move it above the back button. We're going to set the size to fill. And the reason it's not actually filling the whole thing is because the back button is also set to fill. So right here, this 1 is sort of the strength of the fill. So we're going to set this to 0.1. We'll do 0.2, just a bit of padding there. And then we'll also add some padding to the top of the uniform grid panel. So let's just say 30. There we go. That looks pretty good. We can also add a bit of padding. I'll say 30 to both the left and right, just so it's not pushed right up against the side of the screen. Of course, you can set these values to whatever you want. What we're going to do now is add a button to our uniform grid panel. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the uniform grid panel, it essentially is just a grid that we can fill with whatever elements we want, and uniform means all grid elements are going to be the same size. So what we can do is we can search for text and throw it on the button. We can make the font size 48, and we can just update the text to say upgrade max health. All right. What we need to do now is rename our button to upgrade max health button. And then what we can do is come down and set up our on released event. So when this is released, we want to actually upgrade the health of our player. Now to do that, we need to be able to track how much health should be added to the player's starting health. So how much health we've upgraded compared to the regular health. And to do that, we can come to our game instance, and we can say, let's call this health from upgrades, and we'll make that a float. Yeah, we can make it a float. And by default, we'll just leave it at 0. And again, the reason we add this to the game instance, similar to points, is that we want to be able to track this through all the levels of our game. And the game instance is a great place to do that. So now if we come back to our main menu, from last video, we already have this reference to our game instance. So we can go ahead and use that. And we can just set health from upgrades. And what we can do now is decide how much health we want from a single upgrade. So to do this, I am going to, first off, start by get health from upgrades, and we'll do a plus, just like so. And we'll just say that we gain 10 health per upgrade. Of course, you can make this whatever you want. So we can compile and save this. Now what we need to do is actually go ahead and open our player blueprints. We'll come to games, blueprints, player, third person player. And what we need to do now is we have this code on begin play where we set current health to max health. What we actually want to do now is set it to be max health plus the health we gain from our upgrades. So to do that, we are going to need to get a reference to our game instance, which we'll have to do before we set the current health. So we'll just move everything over a bit. We will get game instance, cast to BP game instance, and we'll need a bit more space here, just like this. And then we can promote this to a variable, and we'll just call it BP game instance. Now from our game instance, we can get health from upgrades, and we can just plug it in like so. I will just give a bit more space again, just so the code is a bit cleaner. So we start with the max health of 100, and then we're adding the health from upgrades. So say we've bought 2 health upgrades, that would be 20. So we would start with 120 health. Now we can actually go ahead and see this in action. Now our health bar doesn't display the actual number of health. So what we're going to do to make sure this is working is add a print string after we set the current health, and we can just plug in the current health like so. And we can go ahead and do a playthrough here. Now I'm just going to start in the level so I can just jump straight into it. And you might not have seen it because it was real quick, so I'll just go ahead and increase the duration of this print string. But you can see now when we start the game, in the top left, we have 100 health. So if I just kill a few enemies, just so we get some points, let the enemies kill us. We can return to the main menu. We can upgrade our max health. I'll just hit it twice. We can start the game, and we now have 120 health if you look in the top left corner. So what we need to do now is make it so that our upgrades actually have an impact. Or sorry, so the upgrades actually have a cost. So what we can do is we can come to our main menu, and on released, instead of just upgrading it, we are going to check if we have the points to upgrade it first. So what we can do is add a variable, and we'll call this cost to upgrade. You know what? Instead of doing it this way, what we're actually going to do is create a function in the game instance. And we're going to call this upgrade max health. Then we'll create a variable cost to upgrade health. And this will be an integer since our points are integers. Then we'll say current health, or current amount of health upgrades. And then in our upgrade max health, what we can do, if we come back over to our main menu here, is we can actually just call this function now. So we'll call upgrade max health. And we are going to just grab these 3 nodes and cut them. We can then paste them into this upgrade max health. And we can, actually we're just going to have to replace these because it's looking for a target. So we just do that. Cool. So now inside this upgrade max health, we can check that we actually have what we need to upgrade the health. So we'll check if points is greater than or equal to cost to upgrade health. But every time we upgrade our health, the price of it is going to increase. So what we can do is we can actually get current amount of health upgrades. And we will, by default, set current amount of health upgrades to 1. And we'll just say cost to upgrade health times current amount of health upgrades. So basically, it's going to start, let's say, by costing, let's say, 25 points. But then when we upgrade it once, it will then be multiplied by 2, since the default value of this is 1, which will make it cost 50. And then it'll be multiplied by 3 and 4 and so on. So basically, every time you upgrade it, the price is going to increase. So we'll add a branch off of this greater than or equal to. And if true, we will upgrade the health. We will then do an increment for our current amount of health upgrades. And we will then remove points. And it will be these 3 nodes right here. We can just copy and paste. So now when we go and press the button, we call this upgrade max health function, which is going to check if we have the points required to do the upgrade. If we do, we'll actually upgrade the stats. We will then increase the amount of health upgrades just so we know for future. And then we'll remove the points for the current health upgrade. But I'm realizing there is a slight bug. Since we're incrementing the current amount of health here, it's actually going to cost extra when we remove the points. So increasing the current amount of health upgrades should actually be the last thing we do. So I'll just fix that quickly. Now, what we will also want to do is make sure that the player knows how much upgrading max health is going to cost. To do that, we're going to go ahead and create a binding. We are going to get the game instance. We are going to get cost to upgrade health, and we will get current amount of health upgrades. And just like in the game mode, we will multiply them. We will then do a toString. We will then do an append. We will put this into B. We'll free up A just like normal. Then in A, we will say cost to, or I'll say upgrade max health. And then we will hook up the cost to upgrade it. We'll then add the return value to the string. All right. So now if we run the game, we can actually start from the main menu. You'll see, and one last thing before I forget, is in our UI, which is under blueprints, main menu UI, we actually need to reset the widget switcher active index back to 0 by default. Now, if we go to upgrades, we have 0 points, and upgrade max health costs 25 points. So if we click it, we aren't going to be able to upgrade our health. So what we need to do is we need to start the game. And in the top left, you see we have 100 health because we didn't successfully upgrade it. We'll just go ahead and clear out a wave here just to get a good amount of points. Just like so. So now when the next wave starts, we're going to go ahead and let the enemies kill us so that we can go spend our points upgrading our character. So we'll just run into the enemies here, let them murder us. Now that we are dead, we can return to the main menu. We have 100 points. If we click this, we now have 75 points, but we haven't added the logic to upgrade points. We can hit it again. It will now go up to 75, and we can no longer upgrade it. If we start the game, we now have 120 health. But there's two issues. First off, the health bar doesn't account for the player having 120 health. So we actually take damage without being able to see it represented in the health bar. And as mentioned, in our upgrades, the points don't update when we hit an upgrade. So what we need to do in our main menu, the first thing we'll do is solve this text not properly displaying the active points. So as I mentioned in the last video, to save a bit on performance, we aren't going to use the bind function since it's so easy to just manually call this. What we'll do is go ahead and same thing we did on begin play, or on event construct, I should say. What we're going to go ahead and do is delink this points, and we are going to convert this into a function, or collapse to function. This will then be called update number of points. We can then come into the function, and we can hook up our game instance reference to points. All right, so what we can do now is when we actually release our upgrade button, we can call this update number of points. Now, the other issue we ran into was the health bar. So to fix that, we can open up our player UI, open up our HUD, and we can come to the health bar, and you can see we have this get health bar %. So if we come to the graph and find that function, so currently we do current health divided by max health. What we need to do is update it so that it's actually accounting for the max health plus the additional health from upgrades. So we'll say max health plus, and we do not have a reference to the game instance here. So in event construct, just like before, we will get game instance. We will cast to BP underscore game instance, and we'll promote this to a variable, just like so. We can then come back to our function. We can get game instance. We can get health from upgrades, plug it in, and then plug this into the divide. So now, one more time, we run the game. We start with 0 points. We cannot upgrade our health. We start the game. Let's just get a few points here from the enemies. We'll just do, let's just say 50 points is good enough. Actually, matter of fact, I'll get 80 just before we die so we can upgrade it twice. Now if we return to the main menu, we come to upgrades. We have 80 points. We upgrade our max health. It costs 25. We're now down to 55 points. We upgrade again. We're down to 5 points. We now have 5 points. It requires 75, so we cannot upgrade it. If we start the game, we have 120 health, and as soon as we take damage, it will be represented in the health bar. So that's going to do it for today's video. If you guys did enjoy this, be sure to leave a like. In the next video, we are going to be adding additional upgrades, mainly the ability to regenerate health. and as well as being able to upgrade the rate at which you regenerate that health. If you do want to see that, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. Also, leave a comment down below if you have any questions. With that said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and good luck with your games.